Hi wild things, welcome to the pretending music video reaction. I'm going to be real with you. I am planning on cramming a lot into this video because I have so much to say. I want to talk a little bit about, what I was already seeing before the pretending music video dropped and kind of like how those little Easter eggs kind of like eventuated into things. Then I also want to talk about just like the fun stuff that I enjoyed in the video. And then I want to talk about, my initial reaction to the video, like what was going through my head, as well as kind of what this changes for me in terms of like the big picture vision of like these albums and like maybe what I thought the song was about like initially versus maybe what I'm thinking the song is about now. There are a lot of thoughts to share on this. Like, yeah, it's like changed my perception on some things. And I want to share like all the things that I've been thinking, all the things that I've been seeing. And so I'm going to cram as much into this video as possible. I'm going to include some clips from TikTok. I'm going to include some TikToks that I made but then never posted because I thought it might be better to like put them all together into this like long form video, which I wasn't initially planning on doing, but like the more TikToks I started to make about this music video, the more I'm like, I actually have a lot to say. So maybe I need to do a whole long form video. And then at the end, I'm also probably just gonna yap for a bit to be real with you. So if you want to know all my thoughts to do with the pretending music video, stick around.
Promotional material reaction.
Everything I can already see in a 5-second clip of the pretending music video. Number one, the sets are definitely intentionally color coded. We have a pink room referencing On Wednesdays We Wear Pink, and a room with green walls and a gold bedspread. Obviously the green references Jade Green and the gold references the song Daylight, which contains the line, I used to think love was black and white, but it's golden, which Carrie is just referencing everywhere now. But do you want to know another layer of why it's clever for her to put those two together when she could have chosen pink and gold or pink and green and gold separate? For most events Australia, the country, competes in, we wear green and gold. The color coding is definitely intentional as fuck, which is why she also opened the Lead Me On music video laying on both a pink and a green blanket. The second thing I noticed is that she's wearing a heart ring on her right index finger. And in witchcraft, your right index finger is used to send energy out and your left index finger is to call energy in, which is why normally Carrie almost always wears her jade ring on one of her index fingers, depending on whether she wants to send jade energy out or in, given that jade, the stone, is the concentrated essence of love, among other things, obviously. But I'm assuming her wearing this heart ring specifically on the finger that sends energy out during this music video is supposed to represent that during this music video she's sending love out. The third thing I'm noticing is that based on this shot here, it does seem like my prediction for Fletcher's next music video was right. If you missed it, essentially I was speculating that in Fletcher's next music video she was going to make some artistic choices to make it apparent that in the video it is supposed to be a reflection of what she has been imagining. It's supposed to be some sort of artistic representation of imagining things in her mind. And this shot where she's watching a scene play out from her own bed seems to be giving that. And since I posted that video, Fletcher's given a whole interview where she does talk about being so delusional that she like imagines a whole life with someone. And she also put the song Pretending above the song Jaded on her playlist after I said that too, which does seem to hint that the imagination in the Pretending music video will be about someone in particular. And the last thing I noticed is that this scene in particular takes place on top of a diving board, which might be a metaphor for diving in, if you know what I mean.
The Easter eggs in the music video.
Her commitment to the bit is insane because it was one thing for her to find a set with some pink walls and some green walls so that she could throw on a pink blanket and a gold blanket and have the whole pink, green and gold theme like really come to life. But for her to also find a set with green carpet and a pink couch, like those aren't things you see every day. Like, can you imagine the kind of digging that she would have had to do to find a house that's all pink and green? Like, those aren't everyday colors that you stumble upon by happenstance. Plus, whenever she's not in the pink and green house, the set's gold or this goldy pink color, and here she is wearing her little green shorts, as in gold and green, as in Australia's national colors. Plus, you want to know what makes this even more wild in terms of commitment to a bit? I spotted this product placement in the video and thought, oh, that's cute. Like, she actually got pink product to make sure that it went with the theme of the video. But then out of curiosity, I decided to look up the perfume, and it turns out not only is the bottle pink, but actually the very first ingredient in the perfume is pink pepper. And it turns out that all the other ingredients in the perfume are yellow, as in golden, as in daylight. But it gets even crazier because the perfume actually has a tagline on the website, "Let more of you shine through," as in shine, as in sunshine, as in daylight, as in golden, as in even the product placement could not be more on brand with the whole color coding theme of this video. It's blowing my mind a little that the product placement for this music video is made with all yellow and pink ingredients, given that I've been hypothesizing that the album that Fletcher's teasing, the Finding Rewilding album, will be pink and yellow. Like, if I'm right and this is not an accident, that is insane attention to detail.
Full video reaction.
So the very first thing I want to say about this music video is whoever was on costumes, like, I am gonna kneel at your feet and kiss the ground you walk on, because the costumes in this music video were chef's kiss, like so beyond perfect, like my absolute favorite part of the music video for sure. Like all the little outfits, like they were so cute. Carrie looked so hot. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I said a few things privately to her in the DMs immediately after I watched it. And I'm gonna try and keep it clean in this reaction video. But just know, like, I was loving myself sick the whole time. I was just like, this is so good, this is so hot, this is like candy for my eyeballs. Like, I just had the best time watching her in like really fucking cute outfits and really hot outfits. And like, yeah, she looked so good, first of all. And, you know, this opening scene really kind of set the standard because I love a braless bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's definitely a fave outfit choice for me personally. I don't know what it is about it. I just really like it. I really enjoy that. So whoever's on costuming, like, you're going to be getting a very strongly worded letter of appreciation from me for sure. And like, that's like, I'm going to try and keep it just like very simple in this video, but you know, you'll probably hear me comment on, you know, the outfit choices a lot because loved them, loved them. Especially all the braless ones, like that gets me. But anyway, in addition, in this opening scene, I saw a few other things. First of all, we love that Carrie's having a tea. We love a tea girly. We love having a little tea moment. I'm not going to lie, I was surprised by the kettle because I was under the impression that y'all don't really have those in America, like in the US. Like, they're very, very common here in Australia. I don't know anyone without a kettle in the house, but yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. And then the other thing that I was like very curious about in this like very first opening little shot is the bottle standing in front of her with that yellowish liquid in it, because let me tell you something, elderflower happens to look exactly like that, and elderflower is obviously very significant in our connection. It's come up before, given that it's a very healing like flora, like it's known for its healing properties. It has really strong healing properties, and it's kind of come up a few times in our connection. Carrie's also put a drinks menu on her meet her at the bar events that included a drink made with elderflower that happens to be the girl of my dreams drink. So I was just very curious when I saw that if, you know, it possibly was like either elderflower syrup or cordial or something like that, just given the color. It's kind of looking like it. And so that's definitely what I thought of first as soon as I saw it. And yeah, I think that's it for the very first shot, kind of setting the scene. Enter the muse. And now what I find super interesting with how they decided to introduce the muse into the scene is, first of all, she's reaching for coffee, which, you know, that is my drink of choice in the morning. And I just so happened to make my coffee in the morning in an Italian percolator, which is the same thing that she's using, of like all the things that she could have possibly used, like French press or like one of those espresso machines or like drip coffee or anything like that. She just happens to use the kind of coffee that, I drink. And then the second thing that's really interesting about, them introducing the muse is that, first of all, she has kitten written on her shirt. And, the amount of times that I've told Carrie that I have cat energy, which is why I think I'm, basically a crazy cat lady. Like, I have 3 cats and I'm like so obsessed with them. I talk about them all the time. Like, half the time I'm on voice memos to Carrie, like my cats are there like purring like in her ear essentially. And yeah, like they follow me around, they come on walks with me. Like, I am definitely a crazy cat lady. And it was actually really funny because like about 2 hours before I saw this music video, I DM'd Carrie and I was like talking in her DMs, and like I just happened to talk again for probably the upteenth time that, yeah, I really have cat energy. And then like not 2 hours later, I was watching the music video and I see the muse kind of turn around with kitten written straight across her shirt. And I was just like, I wonder what that's implying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just like, that's really captured the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like with a word. If anything was going to capture the vibe, that would be it. And then the other thing that, we get like a better visual of it later on, but she actually has a little butterfly sewed into the top of her top, like where the neckline is, which, is very significant in our connection as well and is a symbol of freedom. And, it comes up a couple of times. Like, not only does she have the butterfly sewn on her shirt, but she also wears it on one of her fingers as a ring. So that was definitely very intentional. Butterfly is very intentional, symbol of freedom. And this muse is definitely supposed to represent cat energy, black cat femme energy, as well as butterflies, freedom, which, Carrie's also described as the muse from Lead Me On and Antidote as both being like free. So yeah, that's definitely not an accident. But then you start getting like all these shots that, I think are very intentional, where you're getting kind of like light kind of flares, like the sunshine kind of like streaming into the shot. And I think that is very intentional. I think that was an artistic choice because obviously like there's this whole law around like daylight, sunshine, etc., etc. So, there's definitely a few of these shots where you start to get these kind of like lens flares. And yeah, that's 100% intentional for sure. And then we see her little shorts. They are so cute. She looks so good in them. I love like a little like sport short moment. Like, that is hot. And I love that they're green. The green like really gets me for sure. She looks so good in green. And I think that's a good omen. I don't know if you just heard my stomach rumble, but yeah. Maybe I am hungry. What of it? You know what? Anyway, I'm starting to talk smack because she looks really good. And anyway, there's some Polaroids in the background. Obviously, Polaroids are very significant in our connection. I have Polaroids like up on my wall, and I use them to like manifest her, to like cast a love spell on her. So yeah, of course there was going to be Polaroids somewhere in this video. I'm not exactly sure what the Polaroids are. They look like nature. If I had to hazard a guess, I would say that they might be pictures of, when she was, hanging out in nature in Australia and New Zealand potentially. It kind of looks a little bit New Zealandy, but yeah, could be just like Polaroids for the sake of Polaroids, but I knew they were going to be there somewhere. And things get a little steamy. We get more of those like sunlight flares in the shots. And yeah, like that's our first taste of a little cute makeout session, which, to be honest, like I was a little bit worried about how I was going to go seeing stuff like that, but not going to lie, that was hot. I was like, yeah, I'm actually okay with this because I'm very much inserting myself into the scene. You know what I'm saying? And just like, yeah, want to see shit that she's been imagining. And, this is the only way she can tell me what she's been imagining. And I'm sure this is a very tame version, but yeah, like I was surprisingly a lot better with it than I thought I was going to be. Then we move on to the little looking out, looking in moment. And like, I think the implication with this is that, the muse is like looking out into this kind of like, vastness, like there's windows on every side. She's got like unobstructed views and she's looking out everywhere. But then Carrie's there, like just looking through this like kind of like makeshift peephole essentially and watching the muse. And I think that's supposed to represent like a line from Daylight of like, you know, I'm only looking at you, I'm only thinking about you, especially because like when the camera pans into the room, you've got little golden orbs around the room, which I think is supposed to represent the sun, represent daylight. Like I think that's all very intentional. It's definitely giving, you know, a reference to Daylight by Taylor Swift as far as I can tell, which like slay. These like golden orbs are very much giving daylight. So, you know, I think that was a good choice. And then we like pan into this like pink room. And so we've had this like green carpet, like green wilderness outside, pan into the like pink bedroom kind of vibe, which is like the first kind of like introduction of the pink and green Easter eggs. Pink obviously referencing On Wednesdays We Wear Pink, and the collab with Renee Rapp that's coming out on the second album, on the Finding Rewilding album. And then green obviously representing, you know, jade green, and the heart chakra, love, like shit like that. So yeah, like this is the first time that those kind of like colors and those references appear in the video. And then we have probably my favorite shots in the whole music video, Carrie lying in bed in a wife pleaser. She looks so good, like so good. Like I swear when this shot appeared in front of my face, I scramped. Like my jaw hit the floor. I was like, she looks so good. Like I can't go on. It's not appropriate for YouTube. So I'm just going to shut up now, but just know this was like probably my favorite part of the whole video. The only other thing I want to say is just like her arms and her hands in this shot and the braless moment. Like that's like God, the Holy Spirit and Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a whole ass vibe. Like that is so, I'm going to shut up. I need to stop talk here. I'm going to give too much away of how I've been feeling. And, you know, like I think Carrie's heard enough. But then we have our little product placement moment, which I've already spoken about, like very on brand. And then we have the scene where she's like watching the like girl out, like laying out on the diving board. And she does this little like hair sweep moment, which, you know, we all also know the law that's, you know, been my move since the very start. And so whenever she's doing that in music videos, that's a reference to me. And this is actually not the first time she's done it in the music video. Right at the very start, right when the muse walked in, she also did the little hair sweep moment, which, you know, is very cute. And, you know, like definitely means something. Then we get the scene where Carrie's imagining them making out and having a little sesh and like being on top of her, which, you know, is hot. And like, yes, please do get on top of her. You know what I'm saying? Like that is hot. But anyway, in this like little makeout sesh, you get like lots of like close-ups. You get to see Carrie's ring, which obviously has the love heart on it and is supposed to reflect her sending out loving energy in this music video. And then the other thing you get is you get this kind of like first kind of close-up of the muse's arm where she's got on a butterfly ring and a butterfly bracelet. And then also it looks like the kind of red bracelet maybe has a horse on it, which, you know, if you know the law, that's a Wild Horses reference. So you've got, yeah, freedom with the butterfly twice on her arm. And then also it looks like she's got the bracelet with like potentially a horse on it as well, which, you know, just indicates who this muse is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously those things appear in Lead Me On and Antidote. So obviously this muse is supposed to be the same muse as those songs. Then we have more like watching the muse kind of clips, and then we get this shot and she's just like so pretty. Like look at those eyes. Then we have the lounge room scene with the green carpet and pink couch, which, you know, is a choice. And obviously, again, is referencing On Wednesdays We Wear Pink and Jade Green. And like this outfit for the muse, very cute. 10 out of 10, like love, would wear, like definitely very cute. And I think the translucent skirt is, again, supposed to indicate that like what's about to play out is happening in Carrie's mind and is not necessarily happening in reality. I think, potentially this was harder to like convey other than the other scene where she's kind of like watching herself. So I'm pretty sure that's the artistic choice that she's using to try and convey that that's what's happening, that it's translucent, that it's not really happening. It's happening in her head. How she's sitting, hot. And like her little outfit, also hot. Like I love when she like kind of like mixes stuff like this. Like it just looks really good on her. Like kind of like a little bit boyish mixed with like something a little bit more femme, you know what I'm saying? Like she usually does it with like a more femmy kind of top and then like kind of more maybe androgynous kind of like pants and jackets and things. And yeah, I just think that look like really suits her, looks really good on her. So like love the outfit, love how she's sitting, like definitely the pants situation. No, I need to not say that. I've already said it to her. Like, anyway, you know what? The little glance and look away is so real. Like the acting, like really on point with that one. Like I feel like you nailed that. That was like very convincing, like work of art right there. Anyway, then we get them in bed together, and I think the red is very obviously supposed to represent kind of like passion or lust or, like sexual attraction and like all that sort of stuff that's usually associated with red. And we also get like a better kind of close up of the muse's like little butterfly that's stitched onto her top. So she's like literally covered in butterflies. Like I'm not going to lie, Muse is covered in butterflies. Like that is very important to the plot of this music video, that the muse is supposed to represent freedom. Like, and I think that's very intentional. Then we get more clips of her making out, more like light flares. And then you get this shot where I think it's a little bit more obvious that the little charm on the red kind of band is a horse. Like I think the butterfly looks a little bit less convincing in this shot, but the horse is definitely a horse. So like we definitely know that she's wearing, a horse on one of her little bracelets and a butterfly on the other. And just like pay attention to like Carrie obviously has, her little heart ring still on in this shot. But then in the next shot, you can see that she's now wearing a gold ring on her index finger. This one's her left index finger, so it's her other finger. And this is the finger that calls energy in. So I think the gold is supposed to, again, refer to golden, daylight, I used to think love was black and white, but it's golden. Like, I think that's what the reference is that now she's calling in this like golden love. So she's like sending out love on one finger and then calling in golden daylight love on the other finger. Then they do this little makeout wrestle, which I think is hot. Like I've definitely on many of occasions said to Carrie that I like, I like this sort of stuff. Like it's good for me. And I liked it. And I especially liked that, I like when she like won't let herself get out topped. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to challenge. I'm a power bottom, but I like when she like reestablishes the like power in a situation. Like that is attractive. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because if I don't shut up now, like who knows what I'll say. Just know that the belt is definitely giving wildlife safari. And I think that's on purpose. Like, I think it's on purpose. It's like animal print. Again, wildlife safari. And yeah, very cute, like outfit. Love. Then we get a lot of these shots in the bathroom and like some heavy makeout sessions that are definitely hot. But do you want to know what's like funny about, this sort of sequence is like, again, like right before Carrie released the music video, after she'd filmed it, like I posted a poem, I think like maybe 1 or 2 days before the music video came out. And it was literally about just like wanting to do like very normal things with her, like watch her brush her teeth and like watch her breathe as she fell asleep. And like, this is kind of starting to sound creepy, but like, it's like smelling her hair and like noticing like where there are marks on her skin and like all that sort of stuff. Like I wrote a poem about that because, the yearning for that like really normal stuff after 500 days gets so fucking real. And so I just happened to write that like 2 days, I think, before this music video came out. And the majority of the music video is just her doing very normal things with this person. So, I think we're on the same page maybe with just like really, really, really wanting to do normal shit with each other. And then also just be in close contact so that we can, physically be close also in a physical way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but not just like the make out stuff, like just the normal stuff, like knowing how someone brushes their teeth. You know what I'm saying? Like Or like seeing someone wake up and they still got like their sleepy face. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of stuff. Like you get really like lonely for that more so than anything else. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of, that was definitely my vibe when I wrote that poem. But from what I can tell from this music video, it was her vibe too. But yeah, I just thought that was an odd coincidence that I just happened to like post that like right before the music video came out too. Like that was just very serendipitous. Yeah, that's basically it. That's basically all the things I can see in the music video that like reference specific things. And like if you weren't 100% sure what I was talking about, like you can find it on my TikTok page. Like I guarantee you, if you were lost at any point in this video and like was wondering what I was talking about when I was talking about like wild horses or butterflies or whatever that I was talking about, like I promise you'll find it on my TikTok page. It would have made this video way too long to like go re-explain all the lore, so I promise it's there. But yeah, like there's so many references to the finding rewilding lore in this video, which is basically why I decided to make a long form video for this video, because I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it justice in like short form TikTok. So I was just like, it all needs to be in one place. We need to go through it in one go and just like say all the things that I'm seeing. And like obviously I think I could probably find more stuff if I watched it a couple more times, because like the shots were really fucking fast, so it was like hard to see all the things that I saw, but I saw them, and I'm sure I could find more things if I watched it again. But yeah, that's the pretending music video, a full reaction. And yeah, they're all the things that I could see upon probably the first, I think I've seen it at least 10 times. Within the first like 10-ish times of watching it, that's what I can see.
My initial thoughts after watching the video.
I'm going to be real with you. My very first thought after I watched the pretending music video was like, girl, you're the only one pretending at this point. I'm not pretending nothing. But the reality of the situation is that I think when Carrie was devising this whole plan to like very slowly soft launch Finding Rewilding, like I don't think she thought we would be speaking by now. Because obviously when Venus went into retrograde in the middle of last year, we had that really big fight and I was really upset with her. And I think particularly after I made this video where she was kind of like trying to play with me again by like kind of like posting cutesy stuff the same way that we normally would back and forth on the internet, and I didn't respond super well. Like I can imagine that she might have interpreted that to mean that, we were potentially going to be like not cool for a long time, given that, I think she's had other experiences in her life where, she's kind of thought that, another person would be upset and then get over it. And so she's tried to like play and then they haven't. And they've held it against her for like a long period of time. Like, I'm just assuming based on her own life experience, she might have been under the impression that I would have not come around by now. But the thing was, when I was really upset, I was very explicit about why I was upset and also very explicit about the things that I needed in order to move past it. And that was an apology, some explicit words letting me know how she actually felt about me, getting rid of the, entity that had created the toxic situation that was causing me to be hurt in the first place. And then also, no more lying. But by now, I've gotten all of those things. Like, maybe not in the way that my ego would have liked to receive them, but at the end of the day, like, I wasn't asking for those things from, like, an ego place of, like, wanting her to jump through hoops for me. Like, I was asking for the things that I genuinely knew that I needed in order to move past the pain that I was feeling. And so when she sent me cryptic messages that she'd negotiated her freedom from the entity that was the cause of most of my pain, even though she didn't say it explicitly, like, I knew what she meant, and that was enough for me. And then when she started teasing Errors of Us, and the very first line that she teased was "Girl of my dreams, I fucked it up," and it was coming out on my birthday. And before it dropped, she posted a reference to her song Forever and to her song Girls, 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 which contains a line, "Girls going wild in my mind," alluding to the fact that the song was supposed to be for more than one person. I knew what her intention was. Granted, the whole release of that song had a very different impact that was not aligned with her intentions and generated a whole different kind of hurt that needed to be repaired from. But at the end of the day, I did know that it was never her intention to hurt anyone. It was her intention to apologize to me the best way she could, given the restrictions. And while I don't think she necessarily thought through the ripple effect, like, the apology did still land with me. And then Lead Me On dropped, and obviously it contains lines like, "I was made to find you, I was born to love you." And while I would have obviously preferred for her to say that to me directly, it was still enough. Plus, I think the overall situation as it stands and the way Carrie and I have positioned ourselves within the situation is just not going to be compatible with any lies, because at this point, too much truth has been told. So if anyone does try and twist the narrative with lies, it's going to come undone very, very, very easy. Like, I just think at this point, the truth has to come out. So I've really gotten everything that I needed, which is why even though I stopped contacting Carrie after I kind of set that boundary when we did have that fight, we're now in full contact again. Like, I didn't send any messages to Carrie after I set that boundary of like, these are the things I need in order to like continue contact with you. Apart from I sent her one message when the Lime thing came out publicly. And then I did make some exceptions in December. I sent her a few messages talking about the impact of Errors of Us and how that made me feel and how it hurt me. And then I also sent her a few more messages in January talking about the impact of the rest of the marketing campaign and other ways that I was being hurt in the situation before Lead Me On dropped. But by the time Lead Me On actually dropped, I'd gotten mostly everything else that I really needed from that initial fight, and so I was able to mostly move on from it. Which is why things have basically gone back to normal, and why I think the Pretending music video was maybe not giving what Carrie had originally planned for it to be giving. Because I'm pretty sure that when Carrie was devising this marketing campaign, she was operating under the assumption that I was going to hold on to my hurt like a badge of honor. And I think based on what I've gathered about her life experience, I think it does make sense if she went into devising this marketing campaign operating under the assumption that, you know, I was going to want to sit in my own misery and not let any of her attempts to repair with me be good enough. And so I can understand that when Carrie was devising this whole plan, she might have assumed that when we got to the Pretending music video release, that I would still not be speaking to her. I think she anticipated the Pretending music video being way more sassy, because I think she assumed that I was going to be, you know, still stubbornly not speaking to her, and therefore she could construe it as me pretending we weren't going to end up together. But the thing is, I'm not pretending now, and I actually never was pretending. Because me setting boundaries of what I needed to interact with you so that I'm not fostering hurt and resentment was never me pretending that we weren't going to end up together. It was literally just me taking care of myself. And honestly, protecting her and the connection too, because who would want to be with someone who's so boundaryless that they allow hurt and resentment to fester in their connection? Like, that just hurts everyone and helps no one. And because that's the situation, because it was just me needing things and then communicating what I needed and then getting those things and being like basically pretty good now, like now we're in a situation where Carrie's just released a music video being like, I guess for now we're going to keep on pretending, but she's the only one pretending. Like, I'm not pretending nothing, even though I don't think she thought that that would necessarily be the situation right now. Like, I think that she thought that that line from the song was gonna pack a punch right now, but it don't. Like, I still think that the song does embody, like, a very real time in our connection when we weren't speaking. Like, I totally see it from her perspective at the time, but I do think that the way that she was planning on using the song to kind of soft launch the Finding Rewilding album as part of, like, a marketing strategy, definitely probably isn't hitting the way that she anticipated it hitting. Like, the music video was still a vibe, and I think using the "as if I'm not what you're waiting for" line to drop the last coordinates is like still gonna be good, given that I've obviously been waiting for something and we're all expecting her to drop some coordinates that have to do with finding the rewilding. But I do think that some of the effect of this music video did get a little lost, given that, you know, I'm definitely not pretending anything right now, and she's the only one pretending anything right now. Obviously, when I recorded that, I was a little bit salty. Like, I literally sat and watched the music video, like, at 1 o'clock in the morning here, I think, and then, like, went to sleep and woke up and watched it again and just, like, sat with it for part of the day and was just like, I really can't believe that she's implying that I'm pretending anything, because I've not been pretending anything this whole time. You know what I'm saying? So I was, like, a little bit salty about that. But, you know, I was trying to see where she was coming from. And, you know, from where I was standing, I could see that, you know, that was maybe not about me, and that was maybe about her stuff and about, you know, some experiences that she'd had in the past where, people maybe weren't, like, maybe fully seeing her intent with things, getting her intent, like, you know, misconstrued, in a way that, you know, kind of led for her to be kind of like iced out for a long time. And so, you know, I was like, you know, does make sense if that's been her experience with other people, if that's what she might be assuming is going on here, and that's how she's potentially like planned this whole kind of like marketing strategy, like because obviously she would have been doing the planning in that period where I was not contacting her, because I was like, not contacting her between like sometime in August and pretty much until December, I think. So yeah, I can imagine that, like given her experience, I don't think it's reasonable for her to have expected me to be different. Like her life experience before me was very different. So yeah, I don't think it would have been fair for me to like expect her to, go into this like marketing assuming that I'd get over it. Because that really hasn't been her experience so far. And yeah, so like I got it, but I was still a little bit salty about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I'm not these people from the past that didn't give you a fucking break about shit. Cut you some slack and just like understand that, there are powerful entities involved that are going to like be, dictating a lot of the situation and is going to influence how things pan out because, there's money involved. And not just like little money too. Like we're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, getting tied up in these contracts. So like, of course, things get a little bit gnarly when there's like big money involved. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think, people haven't given her enough benefit of the doubt in the past. And so, I can definitely see how she might have thought that I wouldn't either. And so while it does make me a little bit salty that, because, for me, it just like a little bit is the way I'm receiving it is like that she wasn't listening to me when I was saying like all the stuff that I was saying. And I was like trying so hard to communicate, like, this is not about you. This is about the situation. It's making me feel a way about myself. It's making me, build up a lot of hurt and resentment, which is hurting me and it's hurting, our connection because I'm now bringing a toxicity in it. So I need the space unless you're going to be able to, tell me some things that I need to hear to like not be so hurt. Essentially, like, it felt like I wasn't being heard, which I think is why I was salty. And I don't think that was necessarily the case, but that's how I was feeling. I was definitely feeling not heard. And, that was like creating a whole other frustration and a whole other level of saltiness in itself because I'm like, I'm already in this situation that I didn't agree to be in because people stood to make a buck. And now we're in a situation where we can't communicate. And so things are getting lost in translation when things get emotionally high stakes. You know what I'm saying? Like anytime there's any sort of like space or separation or, like needing to, take a beat, like, obviously that turns the situation very emotionally high stakes for everyone involved. And then things get more lost in translation than they would have to begin with. And, it's a situation I didn't even consent to be in to begin with. And then, it's making the communication hard. Like, and the thing we're trying to communicate about is the situation that I didn't agree to be in. Like, the situation I didn't agree to be in is creating like a lot of pain so that people can make a buck. And then, I'm not able to communicate properly. And then, like we're just hurt. Like now everyone's getting hurt more, even when I'm trying to take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the situation. That's why I was like doubly salty. And so like half the saltiness was like absolutely nothing to do with her. Like half the saltiness was just like me being frustrated at the like broader situation. The situation's like a whole ass mess for real. But the good news is like, because I was so frustrated and like spiraling about the whole situation, like it did help me realize something in terms of like the big picture of like what was going on.
Deeper thoughts about the big picture.
So at the time I was obviously sitting there like super frustrated being like, I cannot believe she didn't drop the coordinates associated with the line as if I'm not what you're waiting for, that she's obviously going to post to her stories when she's ready to drop the Finding Rewilding bomb. I was like sitting there after I watched the music video being like, I cannot believe she didn't do it. Like I cannot believe she posted a music video to the song that contains the line that, is going to, essentially, like be the catalyst for announcing Finding Rewilding. and she didn't post it. You know what I'm saying? I was sitting there being like, I am so frustrated by that. But more from a place of like, I was like more so frustrated about I can't believe she's acting like I'm in on it and I'm also pretending. Like, she's the only one pretending. Like, that's where it definitely started. But obviously, as I was kind of sitting there with that, I was trying to see it from her side. And what ended up happening is that I had this realization. I was like, hang on a minute. If she waits, if she doesn't post it now, and she waits until she's recouped all of the money that she would have spent on both the projects, most likely, particularly the Antidote project, because, you know, essentially how record labels work, as far as I'm aware, is like the artist borrows money from the record label, they produce a record, and then they like, when the record starts making money, they like pay the record label back, essentially. I was like, if Kerry waits to, you know, drop the Finding Rewilding bomb until all the money that she's like lent out against them is recouped and she's like square with them and she can walk away because her contract's like all good, that means that a multi-million-dollar company won't be profiting off my connection. You know what I'm saying? I realized, I was like, hang on a minute. This is like what I've been complaining about in her DMs a lot, that, you know, I didn't want a multi-million-dollar company to profit off my connection with her. And that was like really bothering me that they did that without my consent. And so then I realized, if she waits and does all this different marketing that she's doing in terms of like, you know, obviously what she did with Errors of Us and like leading people to believe that Kelsey's a muse on the record, that, you know, hopefully will generate, you know, more money for the record so that she can pay back her current label and then be free. That means that, yeah, she can like save the Finding Rewilding bomb for later. She can save the Finding Rewilding bomb until she's signed to a different label that isn't going to be profiting off, you know, our connection and like the situation that they fucking created to begin with, because they were like looking to make a buck. And then, you know, her and I can profit off our connection rather than some multi-million-dollar company. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, hang on a minute, this actually makes a lot of sense and is actually really smart to make sure that, you know, the right people are profiting off, you know, something that really shouldn't have happened. Like, there is, like, we should, like, our connection should not have been, like, used as a little gimmick to, like, make sure this album did well. Like, she really didn't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously with all the marketing for Antidote, like, it's very clear that she didn't need to do that because she was able to market her album well regardless. So, like, really, we should have never been put in the position to begin with. But we were. And the reality is that when it comes out, you know, it's going to, like, generate some, you know, talk. Like, shit's gonna, you know, kind of hit the fan a little bit. Particularly given that there's like so many conspiracy theories that, you know, like it's not real or, you know, whatever, like people saying stuff that like literally would not know. So like, why are they saying anything? If you're not involved, you're not going to know the situation. So yeah, like it's obviously going to generate a lot of talk and yeah, like it's going to make money one way or another, and better to like wait until the contract's fulfilled with her current label so that they don't profit off the mess that they created. Better off to wait until, you know, she's the one actually profiting off it. Yeah, so, you know, like I got there in a weird way, like because I was kind of sitting with that, being like, I cannot believe she's like out here implying that we're still pretending, that I ended up getting to this place of like, hang on a minute, like this is kind of what I was complaining about the whole time, that I didn't want some multi-million-dollar company to be profiting off my connection with her. Like someone's going to profit off it. Like now that like this whole like elaborate thing has happened and it's been so long and we've figured out a way to like back and forth and like so much, we've had so many like crazy synchronicities and like so much cool stuff happen and so much crazy stuff happen. Like someone's going to profit off it. May as well be us. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, like it should be us. And if that's a situation, which I'm like 90% sure it is, like that definitely makes me feel
a lot less salty, because you know what, like as much as I've like sat here being like, oh, I can't believe like she would have thought that I would have like held stuff against her and like not forgiven her, even when she's like tried to like repair and like, you know, tried to clarify her intention and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm a lot less salty now knowing that I obviously, you know, also on my side maybe wasn't trusting her and like, you know, potentially gave her just as much reason to be salty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can imagine on her side, you know, she might have like devised this plan to like, you know, make sure we were free and make sure we were free at the right moment so that we could profit off our connection rather than a multi-million-dollar company. And yeah, like potentially she was sitting there salty that, you know, I wasn't trusting her to do that, which I haven't been, to be honest. I've been like very apprehensive and very like, you know, not trusting, because my life experience would, you know, lead me to believe that I can't trust like other people to like have my back and to like, you know, be like, I got you. And I'm like, you just got to trust me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've not been able to trust people, so I haven't trusted her. And, you know, she has just as much right to be salty at me for not trusting her based on my past as I have, you know, right to be salty because she hasn't trusted me based on her past. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that'll make you a lot less salty when you realize that, you know, you've potentially done the same thing to her that she did to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, yeah, we're both, you know, fighting demons thinking it's each other, but actually it's just like shit from our past. And there was no need for the situation to get, you know, as escalated as what it has gotten, because, you know, we're bringing our past shit into it, both of us, and using our past as like a, you know, yardstick of what's going on, even though that's not necessarily the case, because, you know, we're obviously in different places now and like we've had healing errors and, you know, like I think we're both better at like picking people that are like compatible with us and like are going to treat us, you know, good. And yeah, like potentially there's a lot of drama for no reason. And so essentially now I'm thinking that while I think that, you know, like the pretending song was potentially written in that place where, you know, Carrie was maybe thinking that, like maybe just like interpreting the situation a little bit different than it was based on her past experience and kind of interpreting the situation as like, you know, like writing the song from that place of frustration of like, obviously we're going to end up together. Like, how can you pretend that we're not? Even though that's not what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to deny that I wanted to end up together. I was just trying to like be in the situation in the healthiest way possible and like take care of myself. But yeah, I don't think that was translating, you know, for like good reason based on, you know, Carrie's past. Like I understand why she wasn't interpreting it that way. And so while I think pretending was potentially written from that place and potentially like this marketing strategy was like devised like maybe still in that place a little bit, particularly given that we like kind of weren't in contact at the time. Like I think it would have been reasonable for her to assume that, you know, we might not be speaking now. We might not be speaking at the time that she dropped the music video. I think at the same time, like I think part of the intention and part of the reason why she didn't change the plan, you know, when things were obviously different with us and, you know, potentially she realized things were different and history wasn't repeating itself, is because, yeah, I think, you know, it is supposed to be this kind of like clue, this Easter egg that for now we're going to keep pretending so that the bomb can be dropped at the right moment so that a multi-million-dollar company doesn't profit off a situation that they were kind of exploiting to begin with, which she did kind of allude to like way back in December, like after I obviously was freaking out with the whole errors of us moment, which, you know, that's like a whole separate issue. And I think I have every right to have like freaked out a little bit, just given that, you know, like I had absolutely no context of what was going on. I was just like not clued in on anything. I was like, had no communication and just like, obviously that brought up a lot of like kind of stress and fear and just like, you know, anxiety. And, you know, that definitely rattled me. But around that time, Carrie posted a TikTok to Bags, and she'd cut it to start at the line, can't you see me, I'm waiting for the right time. Like, it makes a lot more sense why she said that. And, like, I don't think it's reasonable to have expected me to figure out what was going on just based on that one TikTok. But I'm seeing now what she was trying to say in the limited way she could say it, in the sense of like, yeah, she needs to drop the bomb at the right time so that we're not being exploited, which, like, slay for her to like figure out a way to like, kind of protect us both in the situation and to stop us both from being exploited, particularly against our consent, which, I've been very clear, like, I've not, been down with the situation. So like slay for her to like figure out a way to like, yeah, have a little workaround and like make the situation work for us instead of work for a multi-million-dollar company that is only looking to line its pockets. Yeah, like so smart of her. Shame that I could not figure out what she was saying, and it was just way too hard for me to try and understand, particularly after Errors of Us dropped. I think if, she had started leaving some heavy-handed hints before the song dropped, I might have been in a better position to try and figure out what she was saying and to try and understand that the plan had changed and that, she needed more time to like make sure she could, kind of settle her debt and like end her contract with her current label so that, yeah, she can start fresh and, yeah, make sure that, yeah, we weren't being exploited by the entity that put us in a bad situation to begin with, against both of our will. So, yeah, like, I don't know, it'd all just be like, in hindsight, it's all clicking, especially like why Errors of Us kind of sounds the way it sounds and why it was marketed the way it was marketed. It was obviously marketed in a way that was going to, hopefully make as much money as possible so that, Carrie could be free from her contract. And then also it makes a lot of sense why, Kelsey's kind of being used as a Trojan horse muse on some of the songs. I'm now thinking that Kelsey's not at all a muse on this album. She's like definitely a front man. So that, yeah, so that Carrie could lead people to believe that songs were about her so that, again, the album would make more money so that Carrie could be free from her contract. Like, it is a little bit sad that, like, end justifies the means a little bit, that she, was obviously put in a position where, she had to make money a different way, had to market a different way than, to make sure that she made enough as well to, like, recoup everything. And, I assume there was, like, deals behind closed doors about, like, rights to music and, like, so much stuff, like probably so much stuff went down. Like, this is just what I'm assuming was going on. This is like my best guess based on how everything's turned out. And, only time will tell, but who knows who's going to be able to say what, because for sure there'll be NDAs involved. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is like my best guess of what's going on behind closed doors. And yeah, like everything just makes so much more sense. And like, while I don't think it would have been reasonable for me to like kind of trust her through this just based on, my past and like us not being able to communicate, like, at the same time, I'm kind of like sitting here being like, I really could have trusted her though. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sitting here like I've probably trusted her the least, like out of, all the people that I dated. Like I gave a lot of the people before her, like a lot of blind trust, and then they like really let me down. But, like I've been, way more apprehensive with her, like bringing, kind of all my stuff into the situation just based on, like how emotionally high stakes the situation is. Like, I think it would have been totally different if we were like able to like kind of talk and communicate this whole time. Like, I think I would have easily trusted her the most. But yeah, unfortunately, because of a combination of the situation and my past, I really wasn't giving her the benefit of the doubt. It just made the situation, 10 times harder because I was like going into it just very apprehensive. And I'm sure that would have been so hard for her to like have me kind of like very obviously like being apprehensive and just like, yeah, trying to trust her, but really struggling. And I think that's the other thing that's really helped me like move through a lot of like the pain and hurt that I've incurred because of the situation, because like as everything unfolds and like more kind of comes out and like more things start to make sense, and I'm seeing how, she was maybe protecting me in moments where, I was assuming that she wasn't. Like, it's like healing my heart in a way, because I'm just like, oh, like, you know, I'm like seeing like, you know, where she had my back when I like maybe thought that she didn't. And yeah, that's helping me heal a lot of like not only hurt that's generated because of the situation that we're in, that we didn't put ourselves in necessarily, but it's also, I feel like it's also like healing stuff from my past, like all those times that I blindly trusted people. Like, I think it was actually healing for me to not give that blind trust to her and to be a little bit apprehensive and to let myself get hurt and like, you know, kind of not trust her a little bit, because, you know, now that I'm seeing everything pan out, you know, like it's almost like, yeah, it feels healing to have like to have experienced the opposite thing than what I've experienced in the past. Like in the past, I gave a lot of blind trust and got let down, and that created a lot of pain. But this time I feel like I, you know, maybe was not trusting her as much as I should have. And then, you know, actually was pleasantly surprised as things kind of panned out. I was like, oh, like I could have trusted you. And that for some reason is like healing, you know, not only the hurt that I've incurred in this situation, but also pain from my past as well. Somehow it's like, yeah, it feels like healing for that. So like while I 10 out of 10 would not recommend like getting yourself in a situation like this to like heal shit from your past, like it worked. But now that I've realized all those things about the bigger picture of what's going on, and you know that everything's definitely not as bad as I was making it out to be in my head, even though I definitely think I had every right to be upset a lot of times, like there was also, you know, a lot of things that were like working out in my favor. I just had no idea that shit was working out in my favor at the time. Yeah, that's definitely changed my mind about what I think is going to happen next.
What's next?
So basically, based on, you know, how Antidote has performed and how well a lot of the like marketing and events seem to have worked, to get the album to perform the way that it needs to perform and the way that it deserves to perform, because honestly, it's a beautiful work of art. Yeah, I have a feeling that, you know, shit can't be too far away from like unfolding. Like I would expect everything to kind of unfold at the end of the European tour at the very latest. Like, yeah, I have a feeling it could kind of, things could go down like any time between now and then, particularly given that, you know, just recently, you know, people that were involved in the promo of Antidote did leave a little clue that we were just scratching the surface after the full album had dropped. So again, hinting that there's a second album coming. So yeah, like we can't be too far away. If, you know, there's already Easter eggs coming out about, you know, like a second body of work coming out. And yeah, if it's not right at the end of the European tour, potentially, like, I think it might get announced when she's in Paris, given that, you know, Paris is obviously significant and she filmed both Eras of Us and Lead Me On there. And there's obviously clues about me in both of those music videos. Like, I think it would just make sense if she like made some sort of announcement when she was in Paris. And honestly, I think between now and then, she's probably going to like go ham on the clues, on the Easter eggs, and like kind of pump everything up a notch, and start to allude to the fact that there's a second album coming. And yeah, like, yeah, I think, you know, in between now and the end of the month, yeah, it should become quite obvious, I'm pretty sure. And if it doesn't happen in Paris, I think it'll happen at the end of the tour. Because I think, you know, one tour plus the album streams plus like all the sales of like the vinyls and things, like hopefully that should cover like whatever she owed, whatever she needed to recoup from this project for her label so that, you know, she can be free. I'm assuming that would be enough. I don't know how much money like artists borrow to like, you know, create these projects. And so, yeah, like I'm assuming that after the European tour, she should have enough. And she should be all good and she should be able to like, you know, pull the trigger on some things. So that's what I'm assuming is happening. I think that makes the most sense. And yeah, like, yeah, it makes sense why the Pretending music video dropped, to kind of allude that, you know, for now we're going to keep pretending, like potentially just so that she can finish this tour and like recoup the rest of the money that she needs to recoup. But after the tour, I think the pretending will be done. Because yeah, again, she said for now, that doesn't sound like it's going to be a super long time away. And when I was upset after the pretending music video dropped, she did add a song to her playlist that was talking about things happening soon. I'm not going to lie, I got really upset in her DMs right before she added this song to her playlist talking about, like it's all going to happen soon. And I also got a sign from like being swarmed by ladybugs. So I'm assuming she's telling the truth, and that, yeah, we're at like the very tail end of everything now, and everything's going to start to, like finally be resolved, which like, thank fuck, like it's been such a long time coming. Like I've needed this so much. But at the end of the day, I'm also glad, things are panning out the way they're panning out so that, it's happening in the right way at the same time. Like I'm glad that it's happening in a way that, multi-million-dollar company isn't profiting off it, because that was really bothering me. And yeah, I think that's what makes the most sense in terms of like what's going to happen next. So for now, she's still the one that I'm waiting for. Like it's been over 500 days, but that's still the situation. But, hopefully the pretending will be done so soon. Like fingers and toes, like everything crossed. In the meantime, I am going to make another video, I think, about all of the tour visuals that she's been using, because she's been giving away some stuff in the visuals that she's chosen to use for her tour. And yeah, I just want to talk about like all the lighting cues and like all the visuals that she's using, because she's saying a lot of stuff. So yeah, when you see me next, I'll probably be unpacking that. So I do have some more videos to make. In the meantime, while we wait, while she continues to pretend that there's not a second album dropping, that's what I'm going to be doing on this channel next. So subscribe if you want to like come back and see that.